Something.
That's not how you start a show. You don't say, what's happening?
The only way it could be better if you actually said, alright troops.
I know. Alright
troops, how's it going? New episode of Untitled Review Show. Review Show, fuck off, I nearly had that. In this new episode of Untitled Review Show, there you go, use proper English and everything, we will be looking at deleted scenes that shouldn't have been deleted. Starting with Terminator 2. Terminator 2.
What are we talking here? Are we talking the Reese scene, or are we talking about the stuff at the end where it shows you that the Terminator's like losing its form?
I'm talking about like the many scenes.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot.
I mean, me and Alan were talking, the first one technically is when the T-1000 scan. I've got two cans by the way, because so I can shotgun between them as this is going through.
Walking out the house.
That's it. Refreshing.
Oh, he's an alcoholic.
Oh, I'm an alcoholic. Well, I'm not fucking... That's established, isn't it?
I was waiting for you to say it was like a ticket to the gun show or something.
See anyone that says that, they should get a ticket to the gun show in the fucking face. Right, so the first one's when the T-1000's checking over the room, and he comes into John Connor's room and it's kind of sampling things by going like that and all over and kind of just feeling things. I'm giving you an idea. And he's just kind of running his hands across. That's a cold beer, for example, he'd do that. Like that.
So what is this like?
Like that, and that's how he was sampling things. And obviously there's the, as you said, the Kyle Reese one, where she appears to...
Stand up, soldier!
I think that's got to be...
On your feet, soldier!
Yeah,
You're dead!
It's got to be quite galling for Michael Biehn though, because that's his only scene in the film. And
Do you know what's got to be galling? Do you know what's got to be galling for Michael Biehn? His life,
his career.
Let's be honest. The guy has been shafted at every corner. He's a good actor. He's a good actor, and he never
his
gets
performance
anything.
in The Abyss is really, really good.
I'd say his career was an ambition,
but
he just fell into it.
No, but he is. I think he's great. I think it's just a shame that I think had Alien 3 been what it was supposed to be, where the Hicks character would have went on maybe to become either the star of it or...
That's what I was saying. I think the best way Terminator 3 would have been... Not Terminator 3, sorry, that's good. That's a fucking Muller story. Alien 3 could have been as if they'd crash landed on that prison planet and they'd have to deal with both the prisoners and the aliens, and then Michael Biehn became like a...
Michael Bay?
Michael Bay. That's the only way the film could have been guaranteed.
Anyway, deleted scenes.
Back to it. So he appears to Sarah Connor and tries to rally her in the...
Is that in the end? Tries to rally her in the cell room.
I kind of dead.
So that's what they're calling it now.
But maybe that's how she shut it out when that prison guard used to come in. I'll just pretend he's kind of...
I remember seeing shots of that. What is that? Oh, the guy looking at her. Sick in my mouth. I remember seeing shots of Reese in the cell with Sarah Connor, like maybe round about or just after when the film came out, and thinking, no way, like Reese isn't that, and I had no idea what it was. It's a bit cheesy. I mean, it is a bit cheesy, but it is good seeing him in the film, but it is a bit cheesy.
And he's guilty of that, James Cameron. Titanic's a fucking shipwreck of a film, as far as I'm concerned. You know, like the cheesy factor in that film's off the fucking Venn diagram.
There's some good things in it though.
No, there's not.
I think it is. I think when the
you're the one that hates it.
I know that. I do, but I think there are some good things. Anyway, right. Deleted scenes.
Let's wrap up the
show.
Right. The bit where the T-1000, after it gets frozen by liquid nitrogen, comes back and it's glitching.
Yeah, it touches.
And it's touching things and it's merging with it, and that explains why.
Why he dies, basically.
Not why he dies, but also explains why he can't replicate Sarah Connor's voice. That's why he's got to get Sarah Connor to do the voice when he's going like that to her, because he can't sample it at the time because he's got a malfunction. And then obviously the other classic bit, the whole reason there's a change in the T800 is because they take the chip out and change it to read and write. So there are quite a few big ones. I think the Michael Biehn one's probably you could do without. But I think that even though it added to the time limit, the scene with changing the chip and the scene of the malfunction with the T-1000
Oh,
are probably the two that go
interesting, yeah.
forward, as opposed to the scene at the end, which I kind of wish had happened, where Sarah Connor goes, "It's 21:27, nothing happened," and then she's sitting there and everyone's in fucking dungarees and you're like, hey, I don't think so.
Do you not think that's like B-roll footage from Back to the Future 2 though? Looking at it,
Everyone looks fucking horrendous. But I wish that had happened and then they would have gone, "Oh, but I want to make Terminator 3, fuck off." And Salvation.
Well, that was the whole point, though.
We are all dead!
It was meant to
Christian
be, Jesus Christ, it was meant to be just 2 films and that was it, But,
Christian Bale had to get on board. They're doing other ones.
Yeah,
like 5 and 6 or something.
Aye, and there's rumours that Arnie's playing like a scientist or something like that. Sorry.
I'm
I'll watch Arnie in anything though.
Last Stand looks like it might be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Shall we move on? Like, what are we on next?
Escape from New York, perchance, yeah.
Alan brought that up.
Because, Mike, have you seen the deleted scene?
Yeah, the bank job at the start.
At the beginning of it. I mean, it's quite like a lengthy scene. I can understand why they got it cut because it's not maybe that exciting. Maybe it takes a wee bit away from the pace of the film, but
it takes away the mythos of the character more than anything else. I think takes away the fact that you never really see him outside. What would he have been like there? And everybody talks about Snake like that's Snake Plissken, and it's kind of like it builds the mythos. But then when you see him like in a subway station walking about with a bag with money in it, you're a bit kind of like, he's just a normal bank robber.
It's what I was going to say about it was that you do at least get to see a wee bit of the world away from New York, which I thought was kind of interesting. And also, I think it changes the dynamic of Snake as a character because you see that the reason that he got captured was he went back to save his pal.
Aye.
Yeah.
See, as a Kurt Russell character, where would you put Snake Plissken on the scale of 0 to Kurt Russell? I'm going to say Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I would say
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
I very much.
Where McCready is like the next step down, and then Snake is probably the most.
I think I don't know. I don't think I can really see past it. I couldn't choose between McCready, Jack Burton, and Snake Plissken. They're all.
You don't have to. I'm just saying they're the characters that are all officially Kurt Russell.
Slightly below Cash, or is it Tango? Which one is it?
Oh, if you can't remember, mate, you're fucking lynched. Oh, come on! It's a classic, much like Stargate.
So
that should have been a deleted scene in the TV series. Fucking sacrilege to a quality movie.
I'm trying to remember though. Was there anything else that was deleted from Escape from New York?
That's the only one I can particularly.
There are a few actually.
Is there actually?
Which we should have researched.
Yeah. I think that if you're like on the whole John Carpenter thing, I know. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but The Fog was basically like a third of that film was reshot entirely, and that was after it was shown to audiences. And John Carpenter was like, this isn't working, so there's so much of that film that's gone, and I would love to see it because rumours are that the film plays out, there's nothing supernatural in the film until the very end, and then they turn up. So it's all about the sort of maybe paranoia of this little town, but then they realise that there is something coming. I think that'd be quite interesting to see, Would
have been quite an interesting take on it, yeah.
Obviously, Big Trouble in Little China is a deleted scene in itself.
From Buckaroo Banzai?
It's meant to be the sequel to Buckaroo Banzai. What a movie. Alright.
I wish I'd been there to see that.
Basically what happened was a couple weekends back?
Aye.
I had about 10 or 11 folk here and we all watched about 4 films and Buckaroo Banzai was one of them, and most of the people hadn't seen it, and I think that by the end of that film most of the people who were here, it was getting pretty late, but most of the people had left. So we shouldn't have shown that second film, is what I'm saying, otherwise people might have stayed.
I don't know, the more I think of it, the more I think it's so batshit crazy that it's enjoyable.
That's a film with a lot of deleted scenes.
What?
Buckaroo Banzai.
How's that?
Right. He comes in, see when he's playing with the Hong Kong Cavaliers.
Listen, see, to be honest, is there any point in explaining deleted scenes from Buckaroo Banzai
Probably not.
when the film, what's there, doesn't make sense?
But the deleted scenes make it make sense.
I don't believe that.
Kind of.
I don't believe that you could. I mean, they have to have a trawl at the beginning of Buckaroo Banzai, like Star Wars, explaining a backstory about how he's a neuroscientist and all this
sort of stuff. Fucking fly a rocket past them.
But then the opening crawl, I'm sure it says that he's like hovering over Earth and he's like, he's been travelling from dimensions and all that, and you're kind of like,
And then he goes in and he's not. But see, Ellen
nothing like that's been happening.
Right, here's one that'll blow your mind. Ellen Arkin's character, right, you know how she was playing
This won't blow my mind.
Penny Pretty? It will! Penny Pretty, you know, the woman that he sees when the Hong Kong Cavaliers are playing.
Oh, you've told me this is...
Yeah,
she's...
it turns out she's the identical twin sister to his wife that was murdered earlier on, except she's not aware of this. That's fucking Banzai for you. Let's
I
move
want
on.
to see that so bad.
It's fucking outrageous, that film. Carry on. What's our next one?
Alright, now it's time for the always inevitable mention of Batman.
Oh, here we go.
Batman 1989, there was a bunch of stuff deleted from it. Primarily the fact that the film is set at Halloween, which is something that you don't really get when you're watching the original film. But there was one, I remember when I used to love the trading cards. I used to buy them all the time, like every day, like at the end of school. I would go down to the shops and buy the trading cards. No, I've not. And I always remember, like, it would show you the different clips, different shots throughout the film, and it would explain what's happening on the back. And one of them was of Vicky Vale watching, right at the end of the film, watching these kids pretending to be Batman, and they're dressed in like the cowl and cape and all that.
See, if you watch them in order, do you need to see the film? If you look through the
you wouldn't. That's it. And I always thought that would have been nice to have kept it in because it's, I think, a big part of like the sort of Batman mythos is the idea that kids read the comics and look up to him as a character, and sometimes it's nice to have that in there. But there was also Robin was supposed to be in it, but they didn't.
In the original?
Yeah, in the original, he was supposed to be. There was a scene where I think Batman ends up chasing the Joker on a horse.
No,
and it goes in, and it ends up in being in a circus, and it's like the Flying Graysons.
Right.
And they just have this bit in the middle of the film, or 2/3 in, where I don't know if his family dies there and then, Robin's family dies there and then, but Robin sort of swoops down and helps for a second, and it's like a wee nod, or maybe be in the next film.
Cheers, Robin! No worries!
But in Batman Returns, they went even further. I mean, they'd cast, what was his name, one of the Wayans brothers? Now the
Wayans, yeah. Is it Wayans?
I can't
I know the guy's name.
No, it's Robin.
As Robin, like, as he was going to be a car mechanic, because
I think I remember
during the
that,
film, his one thing I will say though, right? One thing I will say though is that he was going to be a car mechanic because the Batman spoilers gets totaled at some point in Batman Returns. He's going to be a car mechanic trying to fix it. In fact, there's even a line
trying to fix the Batmobile.
There's even a line in the film where Bruce Wayne says to Alfred, like, about trying to get the Batmobile fixed, but then you're kind of like, who fucking fixed it in the first place? Built it.
These tyres, have you seen the treads in these, Batman? We've been running these on danger for weeks.
Just to conclude though, there was, I saw some of the designs for the Robin like costume, and there were different ones. Some of them looked pretty outlandish, but a couple of them actually looked pretty cool, and he was all in black.
It wasn't one of the Saving Graysons adding Robin
Saving
in, though,
Graysons?
Yeah.
Saving Grace?
Yeah, Saving Grace.
Flying Grace?
You know, Saving Grayson. Of the later films, so adding Robin in, well, let's be honest. But Batman Forever, that's got a big deleted scene. There's a bit, like I was
Joe
explaining
Schumacher was deleted from that. He was posted missing for the entire fucking production.
It was Batman and Robin that he apologised for, wasn't it? Bob Kane apparently turned up, he said this is how Batman's meant to be. And I'm sure Burton went
he made Batman Robin, because there's actually an interview with him, and it's on the Batman Robin like extras, and it's on, you can see it on YouTube as well, where he actually says, so I'd just like to apologise.
But he doesn't really apologise, he kind of doesn't.
No, he's kind of trying to say it wasn't his fault.
I'm sorry if anyone didn't enjoy the film, is basically what he says, but he doesn't really go, I'm a mug. But what was I going to say, the Batman Forever, the delete scene in it is after the Riddler's blown up the Batmobile and all that. They're trying to rebuild the Batcave, and he goes into this alcove and he starts reading this diary. It's his father's diary, and it says stuff like
I don't like you.
Yeah, Bruce was a wee dick. It says stuff like we didn't want to go to the theatre tonight, but Bruce made us and stuff, which has got to make you feel better.
So he wrote this after he died?
No, he wrote obviously before, we've got to go to the theatre tonight, but we don't want to go, but Bruce is insisting, right? And
he didn't also add, like, 3 days from today I'm going to be retiring.
That's I'm hanging up my badge.
Can't wait to set up farm.
Yeah, buy that boat. Yeah.
But he basically reads it through and then he comes to terms with being Batman, and then a giant man-sized bat flies down and gobbles him up, and then he comes out and then he's Batman again. I'm not shitting you. You can find it on YouTube. It's real. I didn't imagine it.
That's quite avant-garde for Joel Schumacher.
Well, slight segue from Joel Schumacher. And I know it's pretty poor, right? But the sequel to The Lost Boys being directed by Joel Schumacher.
Was that Lost Boys 2?
Yeah. The sequel to Lost Boys had Corey Haim's character in it. They had a few scenes, and if anybody ever watched the two Coreys, it was actually quite sad because it was like the one time where he,
so is that a
was
sitcom, doesn't it?
No, it felt like that, but it was genuinely sad because they filmed him trying to, like, he was on his comeback basically, and he had loads of problems with drugs, and when he went to shoot his scenes, it was, he just messed up completely and utterly, and he kept his microphone on him when he was in his trailer and all that, and you can just hear that he's like he was on something, and but they actually managed to keep. They put like a wee bit of one of the scenes right at the end of the movie after the credits, but that was it, and it was quite sad.
Here's something that always surprises me. See, you know the number of films that have been remade, like for example RoboCop's getting remade, Judge Dredd's been remade and stuff like that. Judge Dredd went a better direction. It's a good film as opposed to the fucking original one, which is borderline guilty pleasure, borderline fucking stab yourself in the eyes. But why do remakes never address concerns like that in previous films? You know how there's like people saying, I wish we'd seen that in that film. They should use that as almost like free market research to go, put this in this film and we get a guaranteed audience.
Because it's not about making a good film in a lot of ways.
Making money,
it's about like, if they're redoing a reboot of Batman, they'll want to throw the Joker in again. Yeah. Even though we won't want to see him again, there's no point.
But we did.
Well, we did then, but that was different. That was different.
Who would play him again? See if we got a third Joker.
My bet would be I don't know. Clint Eastwood, by the way, he's acting recently, probably. Talking to himself and all that. Probably.
I think it would be interesting if they picked up on the old.
Can you imagine Al Pacino? This is going through my head. Come on!
I could see that working actually, bizarre. It would be like channeling Jack Nicholson. No, I thought it would be interesting if they picked up what you said about, the suggestion that originally they were going to get Michael Keaton to play both the Joker and Batman. If they got Christian Bale to play the Joker and Batman. But no, I suppose they can't do that anymore. It's not going to be.
You mean when like they were casting the Joker, there was people that said that Michael Keaton was in the running for it. When Heath Ledger, like, Keaton was one of the names that was mentioned.
Was Beetlejuice before it?
Sorry?
Was Beetlejuice before Batman?
No, I mean there was talk of when they were making the Dark Knight. Is that not what you're talking about? There was talk of Michael Keaton being cast as the Joker. All right. In the Dark Knight.
You're talking about an original Batman.
Well, no.
There was also things about him playing both parts.
Yeah.
That'd be insane.
But then Bill Murray was also nearly cast as Batman as well in 1989.
Can you imagine? Fucking hell.
Jesus.
Michael Keaton worked quite well. I mean, on paper he doesn't work as Batman.
It's fantastic. But to me, like, Bale gives the best Bruce Wayne, but
I think he gives I don't think he gives a good Bruce Wayne because he plays a bit of a wanker. I think Michael Keaton was a much more interesting and reserved.
But I still think to me, like, Keaton, just the voice, the way he moved, just the way he acted. Yeah. As much as I thought Bale was brilliant as Batman, Keaton for me is just the better one.
Christian Bale goes a bit too Patrick Bateman. And I love Patrick Bateman, but Patrick Bateman...
not in a cape.
But yeah, Patrick Bateman's not...
Why? We've went right off track again.
We have, but people are getting goodness. Come here for
rolling joint. That's a big joint. I think it was two of these and you smoked the other one.
So coming back to reality, Star Wars.
Oops, there goes gravity.
Star Wars, yeah.
Aye.
Because, I mean,
there's the porn scene between Luke and Leia, the doggy scene, and Chewbacca's there as well.
In the thick of it. Have you seen that when they describe Star Wars?
Leia's licking Chew's balls. I know the one you're talking about. I've heard about it.
There's a lot of deleted scenes
Yeah, just like that.
Just so right over the top of that. Obviously the Anchorage scene in the first film when they're at Tatooine, but there's other ones that they brought back for like Return of the Jedi where there's that sandstorm scene where they have an interaction before Luke goes, because you know how it cuts from Jabba's palace and Luke just fucks off to Dagobah and the rest of them are going the other way. There's a scene before that, but the film was like really fucking badly damaged.
I think one thing they shouldn't have cut was the one that they've shown you recently, which is
building the lightsaber. Where he looks like the Emperor.
Aye,
and he's just kind of building.
Well, I watched that and I was like, they're saying that's the way it was originally done. Now I remember seeing clips of it and it
almost
filmed,
looks reshoot,
but it looks in some ways as if it's been tinkered with.
Yeah.
You know, pretty majorly. The one that always interested me out of all the deleted scenes, because there used to be a website years ago that was it just listed, and they just had like screenshots from the different deleted scenes, and there's so many deleted scenes from the 3 Star Wars films, mostly from A New Hope, but there was the one that got me was like the Wampa attack.
That's right, yeah.
Empire Strikes Back. I mean, that was maybe a big part of it, where because of Luke did, a whole bunch of them turn up and attack the base, while they're fighting the Empire, and that was shot. That was shot.
Also, there's a scene where C-3PO, the cheeky monkey, changes a sign that says "Danger, Wampas in here," and he turns it round so that the stormtroopers go in there and then the Wampas get him. He's a character.
Anything else in Star Wars?
Fucking the prequel. Tell you what should have been deleted, the fucking prequels.
Yeah.
No, I'm better.
Well, what about one of our favourite films, The Thing?
Prequel should have been deleted.
But
we've had this.
Yeah, but there was a lot of stuff that was supposedly deleted from the end of the film.
I was going to say there was the alternative ending where they supposedly proved definitively that Crady was a human, and they also saved him, which was.
I know what I mean, because it was Kurt Russell that suggested that just leave it there.
What a guy!
Kurt Russell. He's a legend, Kurt. If you're out there.
If you're out there,
just an absolute legend. Yeah, come down. You're an absolute legend. But one of the ones that I'd heard about, and I don't know how. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for?
Mayonnaise.
I've had some sort of absolute neurological breakdown. I had about an hour's sleep last night, and I'm absolutely done. I don't know how sound it is, but there was rumours of an ending that was shot where McCready goes into a bar at the end, once he's been saved, and he goes into this bar, and it's either I think he goes and he sits down and you think it's just sort of normal McCready and everything's fine, and then another McCready sits down and they glance at each other, then they both leave.
Pour whiskey over each other and catch fire.
Iron
bitch.
So there was that as well, but this is one thing that's always bothered me, and you might know this because you've got the actual Laserdisc. Now, I've got the DVD, which they took a lot of the features from the Laserdisc, and the features are fantastic on that. But there's one where you're going through all of the like extras and stuff like that, and then there's a still frame, and it says "the end?" and it's a shot of McCready that's not in the film.
Oh. And
it's like he's sort of, it's as if he's in amongst all this sort of rubble. He's in a room somewhere and he's sort of frozen, but it's different. I mean, because John Carpenter originally hated the fact that I think some versions of the thing were broadcast where they shot the dog leaving. At the end.
What's the name of the black guy? What's the name of the actor?
Giles.
Do you know
isn't that Keith David?
Yeah,
Keith David,
yeah.
You know he survives because he's in They Live.
Not the same character.
Yes?
It's not the same character.
Pretty much the same character, isn't it?
It's not the same
It's pretty much the same
Put
character.
on the glasses.
And at the end of the day, in The Prince of Darkness, Donald Pleasance is playing a priest called Loomis, the same name as the psychiatrist.
A priest that used to be president and a psychiatrist.
Aye, no, President Loomis, I don't know if he's president.
Maybe you probably would become a priest after all the shit you'd see.
That's very true. So what other ones have we got?
For the thing, or just general?
Just in general?
Is RoboCop 3 not meant to have a lot of deleted scenes?
RoboCop 3 is just a fucking train wreck. We've talked about this before, I'm sure, that if people are going to remake films, remake a film that's got a good idea but was executed poorly, like RoboCop 3. It's got a good idea at the centre. The company trying to basically clear slums and evict people from their homes, and RoboCop gets caught between the company
and gets a jetpack
and basically the homeless, and he decides to protect the innocent rather than uphold the law. That's a great idea for a RoboCop film.
Is the jetpack fueled by the homeless? Because that was
by the tears of children.
That would have been quite
the teeth of homeless
I
children.
think that would have been quite an interesting satire of corporate greed in the late 80s.
I think we'll need to talk about the new, because the images I've seen so far ain't looking good.
Do you not think though
Echo and Night Mock-ups
do
look
you not think though that the armour that they've released for RoboCop is actually that's before
looks like a right armour type.
before it becomes
it's not that
because
far
then we
away
explain why he's got one hand free and he's not got a glove on it in the sense that they'd key it out or something.
Either that or because some people have said that maybe they'll put CG.
Yeah, but they've got to have something on the hand to easily do that.
But I think that there's a good chance that even if that is like an early version of his armour, that the film will end with him walking out and he'll be wearing the armour, so you walk away buzzing.
Problem is, like, the original armour is quite well designed, but the only thing I think that they might do is I think they might stay along lines. I think if they change it too much, people will get annoyed. But they'll maybe streamline it.
Possibly.
Make it, because the images I've seen are like a more kind of Tron type, slimmer type RoboCop. But at the same time, he's got to be big. That's his, intimidating factor. Right, back on to something else.
Back to
There was also Blade Runner, of course.
But I mean, the thing is, Blade Runner's the most
what's deleted and what's
I know
not
that's
deleted.
Blade Runner's so kind of well covered in terms of like the deleted scenes because it's got so many cuts. Blade Runner's got to be probably the single film that's been most re-edited and actually brought everything back. There's a lot of...
Even so, I think that one that we were looking at earlier, the one with, I can't remember the name of the character, the guy that gets shot by Leon at the start of the film, I don't think that's in any of the cuts of the film that you can get to buy.
It's not Hudson. What's his name? It begins with an H, doesn't it?
Hudson Hawks.
But he basically starts moaning and he's like, oh, these replicants are fucking too...
That's what
Game over, man! Game over!
That's what I mentioned earlier on though, was the fact that I'm sure there was stuff deleted where it implies that Tyrell himself is either a replicant or a clone of the original guy that set up the company.
He never looked well, did he? Never looked well.
No.
He looked like someone that might clone himself.
Because was there not meant to be a scene where like Deckard actually finds something?
Oh,
like finds like a version of Tyrell or something like that, and it's sort of cast dispersions on anybody. It's like, is anybody what they see?
Quite interesting.
I guess Rachel's a replicant, but where can you get her?
Oh yeah, what was her name? Sean Young.
Young.
She was hot. She was hot stuff.
Is it her or Deckard that plays the piano? It's been easy since I've seen it.
I think it's actually Deckard that plays.
I think it is. Harrison Ford. What's he like? Boring as fuck. That's what he's like.
But the thing is though, is he boring or is it just that he's one of these guys? Because Marlon Brando was the same.
It just does an interview.
Normally he's just like, I don't want to do an interview, so I'm just basically going to be like, yep. Because that's the way Harrison Ford comes across, but then...
And then he rides out there on multiple women.
Aye, but at the end of the day, it's Harrison Ford. And while he's not made... When's the last time Harrison Ford...
He loves carpentry, doesn't
he? When's the last time...
Anytime he's on TV, he's talking about
When's the last time he made a great film? Harrison Ford. I'm going to go for one. I'll go for one. The Fugitive.
That was good.
It's really good. It's a really good thriller. It's really exciting. It's not one that
the Crystal Skull.
It's not one that people talk about really, but it's a very good film.
Thing, he's got a lot of deleted scenes because you said what's his name, Tommy Lee Jones. I thought of Natural Born Killers. There's quite a few deleted scenes for that. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there was some.
But they were deleted, alright.
I like that film. It gets a bit of flack.
I've not really. I think I've seen it once. And it just was a little bit too all over the shop.
I just like Woody Harrelson.
With the shaved head.
Guy.
But it's a dark film as well. It's like you know what I mean.
That's Oliver Stone for you.
He's
like fucking. He must have seen his puppy being shot as a kid or something.
Well, was he not actually in Vietnam though?
Well, there you
Some shit
go.
over there.
He was.
It's a clusterfuck right there.
I think that's where a lot of his
Racism comes from.
Have
you ever seen Midnight Express?
Do you know what?
Is that an Oliver Stone film?
Oh, he wrote it.
I don't know.
It's wildly racist.
Yeah, but the director's the author, so maybe it's not his fault. As far as I'm concerned, alright. We're talking about as well earlier on, mentioned the ending of Casablanca, where they didn't, I mean, the amazing thing, Casablanca is like the exception. It's the exception that proves the rule. Don't make a film without a script unless it's like this is Spinal Tap, where that's, you know, keys, you know, to it. But Casablanca is the one where it's like it was made without a script. It didn't have an ending. It was a B picture, and they made it an A picture at the last minute, and they still didn't know how to end it. But I'm sure I heard that there's like versions of it where the two characters don't do the honourable thing. They basically run off together and things like that.
Spinal Tap has 6 hours of footage.
Yeah, I was just about to say this.
There's quite a few scenes that aren't.
It was on the other night.
That should have been brought back from that, because there's like bits where they're like looking at monkeys in the zoo and basically decide, you know, trying to work out how they managed to evolve from them and stuff. It's just so brilliant. It's so brilliant. But the thing is, you can't get it online. It was like one bootleg VHS that appeared and had the 6 hours of Spinal Tap on it.
Apparently it's quite hard. One cut.
Yeah, apparently it's quite hard to find. But it's almost like another film. Someone said that there's only maybe about 20 minutes of it that's really worth hunting down. But I think
there's a lot of the B-roll footage as an extra on the DVD.
Well, maybe the best of that is already on the DVD.
That's kind of annoying though, isn't it, though, that when you get a DVD and you look at deleted scenes, because when DVD first came out, it was like deleted scenes was something to be really excited about. But then, like most films, they put deleted scenes in and you're just kind of like, I'm not interested in seeing that. What's the point? What is the point in seeing that? One of the famous ones was
45 seconds.
Alien 3. An Alien 3 where they had a dog buster, and instead of that they had an ox buster. They had the alien actually break out from a cow, that's all.
Wasn't the ox buster?
That's all she wrote.
Wasn't the ox buster one of the power-ups in Mega Man?
So let's do Alien 3 and then wrap this up. So Alien 3 until the camera rudely interrupted.
So Alien 3, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's deleted from that. Tons of stuff that wasn't even filmed. We were talking about this earlier on, that Vincent Ward, I think his name was, originally did a version of it. Well, wrote a version of it, and it was going to be around a prison colony, a wooden planet.
See the idea of it though, it's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the idea of making Alien a truly gothic horror film,
that would have been interesting.
Really worked. So, but all he would have needed to have done was have the alien, you know, crash on a planet where people, you know, near a monastery or something like that, you know.
Can I just say something that I'm disgusted by that we've not yet done? Is go to Alien Wars in Glasgow.
Yes. Is it open again?
Yes.
Already?
For the people that don't know, it started in Glasgow. This is one of the few claims to fame that Glasgow possibly had. They created
alcoholism and domestic abuse.
Murder capital of Europe and the culture capital of Europe in 1 year.
Aye, yeah.
Stabbing hotspot. That's right. I love art. Stab. That's how they achieved that. But basically, Alien War is an underground alien experience, and when they started it, you were led down. Michael, please don't play footsie with me. You were led down into a chamber by a couple of Marines, and you were led through. And then people.
I don't think there was anything called Alien War. I think this is maybe a repressed childhood memory.
And basically,
led down into a chamber by a Marine.
You get led into these rooms with Marines, and then they get pulled away by aliens, and you had to find your own way out. And it lasted for about 15 minutes, and you had to find your own exit.
They blindfolded you, and you had to find the door handle.
People were that's right. Except for it never felt like a door handle. I always kept giving it a pull though. But basically, like the aliens,
oil came out of it.
like people were people were having heart attacks, abandoning their kids, all this kind of stuff. And then Sigourney Weaver and Lance Henriksen opened it up. They did one in London after that, but it's now back, and I'm well keen to go to it. We should go for it. You can book a group of 10. We'll get people together and we'll film it.
Definitely. But anyway, deleted scenes.
Go and see it if you're in town.
I think one of the famous ones with Alien 3 though, was it not that the original version of the film, they cut a scene that showed you what happened to one of the characters to the point where everyone else is dead except one guy is left alive?
There's there's an entire subplot which is restored. If you ever get the chance, go and watch the assembly cut. You'll get it on like the quadrilogy box set. It makes the film much better. It makes the film make a lot more sense. The Charles Dance character, who is a really important character, dies very quickly, like in the theatrical cut. But here he's in the film for quite a while. He's a really important character. But the one that you're talking about what was his name? One of the McCann brothers. Paul McGann, not McCann. No, don't. Paul McGann, who played Doctor Who at one point. And his character is very strange. At one point, originally he was told to play it Welsh, so he's got this Welsh accent, and then he's told not to play it Welsh, and so at different points in the film he's got different accents. And also there's a whole scene in the film where they try to trap the alien. They actually do manage to trap it, and then it gets out because his character thinks that it's a dragon and that he's got some sort of pact with it, and he lets it out again, and it makes the whole film make sense. But they took all of that away. But even with everything added in on the assembly cut, the film still suffers from the fact that the script wasn't finished, it wasn't locked down, and really, I think one of the producers said they set out to make a release date, and that was the problem. They didn't have it locked down. I still maintain it's a great film, but it's not a great film. It's a good film, but it's not a good Alien film.
I think the problem is it just shows you how good Alien and Aliens were. That Alien has never been right since. No one's and all the. I mean, how many we've got? We've got Aliens 3, Alien Resurrection, 2 Alien films plus Prometheus. They've never got it right since.
Yeah.
So it just shows you the strength of the original films.
I wrote out a little treatment for how I would have made the 4th Alien film. And if anyone's out there,
an 8-year-old Michael Whitehouse.
No, I would have taken. There's a character that survives at the end of Alien 3 called Morse. Lewis.
Not the Inspector.
Not Inspector Morse, right?
I'm out my depth.
I know.
Just up there on the prison planet.
He teams up with the Rebus to take him down.
Aliens in Oxford. But and my idea was that you based this the next one around him, but
no one's gonna have a fucking clue who Inspector Morse is.
Or
Rebus.
Long boy will know.
Rebus
Long
even
boy will
fucking
know.
Yeah, I was just going to say Morse
Ken
didn't get Rebus.
He's just drunk.
It was originally John Hannah was Rebus.
Oh fuck, I hope John Hannah dies in a bad fire. I hate John Hannah, I really hate him.
Right, let's talk about things that people know. So, any other deleted scenes that we had? I think, I remember watching, I should say this, but I was watching an episode of the Cinefiles, and they
comedies are the bit worse for it.
They mentioned, if it was Ed on the Cinefiles, mentioned like an alternative ending to The Shining that was actually shown in a few theatres, and it was Danny being in a hospital afterwards, and one of the red balls that they were playing with throughout the film sort of moves on its own and that. So like that proves that it's supernatural kind of, rather than, it might all be psychological, but there's loads of deleted scenes and there's loads of alternatives. The one that gets me the most, and I said this earlier on before we started filming, is The Exorcist Part 3. It was originally to be called Legion. It was directed by William Peter Blatty, who was the writer of The Exorcist, and he shot the whole film. It's very much a low-key supernatural detective story. It's really great. There's some real scares in it. It's got the greatest jump out scare in any film ever, and it's not a cheap tactic. Just the timing of it is so great. But the last third of the film, I can't remember who the producer was, but the producer basically said there's no exorcism, and we want to call it The Exorcist 3 now rather than its original name, which was Legion. And he said, so we need to put in an exorcism now at the end of the film. So they worked in this other character who they just cut to every now and then. It was this priest.
Does it just keep going? I see.
And I mean, I still love the film, and there's a couple of bits in the exorcism scene I still like, but it looks really cheap compared to the rest of the film.
Better than the second on it.
And yeah, I would love to see the full cut, but the rumours are that the producers had it in a vault, and they basically said that because of like maybe a fallout with William Peter Blatty, like they need to admit that they were wrong. They basically said, "No, this is never going to see the light of day," and I think it's really sad because I think it could be, if the ending was right, if the ending was made right, The Exorcist Part 3 would be one of my all-time favourite ghost stories. Got milk?
Classic.
Should we start to wrap this up because we've covered about
Possibly,
3
yeah.
films
Yes.
in about an hour?
There you go.
So I hope you've enjoyed this because this has gone wildly off topic. But drop
I
some-
wasn't off topic, that was deleted scenes.
I suppose we got some.
You started talking about Alien War.
Well, it was good. It was better than fucking your tangents.
What tangent? I didn't go on a
You
tangent.
did go on
when
tangents.
did I go on a tangent?
I'll look over the video.
When?
I'll look it up.
Prove it. Prove it.
We've got video evidence. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've got something to say about
If
the
you've been
scenes,
affected by any of the issues raised in this video,
put it in the comments below my finger. That's it.
Bye.
See you later. Done.
Done.
Number one.
Number one, I
I mean,
know.
what time are we fucking at?